Hey there, it's really good to have you here. Whether you've been a part of this space for a while or this is your very first time visiting, welcome. I'm truly glad you clicked on this video because today's topic is a powerful one and it's something not enough people really talk about. So, I want to ask you to take a deep breath, set aside any judgments or ideas you might already have and step into this conversation with an open mind and heart. Because today we're going into something that's often misunderstood, regularly misrepresented, and deeply emotional, even if it doesn't always seem that way on the outside. I want to talk to you about male sexual desire, the truth behind it. Not the TikTok version, not the movie version, and definitely not the locker room talk version. The actual truth. Now, before you start thinking, I already know what men want, it's pretty obvious, or here we go again, men are just visual and physical, I need to pause you right there. Because there's a lot more to this topic than just libido and lust. Behind male desire, there's often a mix of longing, fear, uncertainty, emotional need, and yes, even love. I've spoken to thousands of men over the years. I've coached them. I've listened to their experiences, and I can tell you honestly that what they show on the outside isn't always what's really happening inside. And that's exactly why this is such an important conversation for both women and men. Because when you really understand male sexual desire, it's not just about handling relationships better. It's about bringing more kindness, more emotional closeness, and more honesty into love. So if you've ever wondered why a guy seems really into you one moment and distant the next, or why it sometimes feels like sex is the only way he relates to you, or even why that desire can sometimes feel empty, this video is going to bring clarity. It'll offer a fresh way to look at things, one that lifts you up instead of leaving you confused. This isn't about criticizing men, it's about understanding them, and understanding yourself more deeply too. So grab a warm drink, get comfortable, and let's explore this together. Because once you really grasp what male sexual desire is truly about, you'll stop blaming yourself for the confusion, and instead you'll start choosing what genuinely supports your heart and your sense of self-worth. Let's get into it. When we talk about male desire, the conversation often stays on the surface. Hormones, visual attraction, physical urges. It gets reduced to something one-dimensional, where men are shown as either overly driven by sex or just basic creatures only chasing physical pleasure. But what we often overlook is this. For many men, sexual desire isn't just about sex. It's about what sex symbolizes. It's about the feeling of being wanted. It's about feeling important. From a young age, lots of men are raised to link their self-worth with how attractive they are to women. But here's where it gets interesting. While many women grow up being told that they need to be wanted emotionally, men are often taught that they need to be wanted physically. And in that setup, sex starts to act like a scoreboard. If a man feels that a woman desires him physically, it sends him a powerful message. You're good enough. You're important. It becomes a quick way to feel better about himself, to feel chosen. So under the surface of that desire, there's often a deep hunger for meaning, for acceptance, for connection. But since a lot of men never learn how to open up emotionally or directly ask for closeness, sex becomes the only socially allowed way to seek it out, often without even realizing that's what they're doing. So when a man is feeling insecure or lonely or like he's not doing enough in his life, his desire for sex might suddenly grow, not always because of pure attraction in that moment, but because he's trying to feel seen, wanted, appreciated. He wants to feel like he still matters. This is one of the reasons why some men become fixated on sex in their relationships, because each time their partner wants them physically, it reassures them that they're still attractive, still loved, still enough. But when that desire starts to lessen, maybe due to stress, exhaustion, or just the busyness of everyday life, it can make a man feel unsure about his value, not because his partner doesn't care, but because he starts seeing the absence of sexual cues as a sign that something's wrong with him. Now, this doesn't mean every time a man wants sex it's coming from insecurity. That would be too simple. Many men have a healthy and joyful connection with their desire. They enjoy intimacy that's full of love, fun, and curiosity. But what it does mean is that more often than we admit, sex becomes a way for men to seek the emotional comfort and approval they were never taught how to ask for in more direct, open-hearted ways. And this is where understanding changes everything. When a woman can recognize this, she stops thinking it's all about her. She doesn't feel used or confused when she notices that his desire might be connected to something deeper. Instead, she's able to make a clear choice, whether or not she wants to meet that need and what kind of emotional connection she wants to build in the relationship. The truth is, male desire isn't only about physical needs, it's about feeling valued. And until we start talking about that openly, we'll keep missing what really matters underneath. Now, here's a truth that often gets lost, especially in the early days of a relationship when the chemistry is intense and everything feels like a romantic dream. That truth is this: sexual attraction alone isn't enough to keep a relationship strong. It can start things off. It can bring that rush of excitement and passion. But without emotional bonding, without real connection, that fire usually burns out, and sometimes faster than anyone expects. Most of us know the feeling of being completely drawn to someone. That spark when you can't stop touching each other, the thrill, it's exciting, it's intense, and it's addictive. But what many people don't realize is how quickly that excitement fades when there's no deeper emotional base holding it all together. Without shared values, open communication, and genuine emotional closeness, that sexual energy is like a sugar rush, intense at first, but followed by a crash. I've heard countless women say things like, "But it felt so real at the beginning. He was so into me. The chemistry was amazing. I thought it meant something. And then suddenly, he seems different, more distant, not as involved." The sex might still happen sometimes, but it feels less connected, like a habit instead of passion. And the woman is left wondering, what changed? But often, the truth is that nothing actually changed. That's how it always was. It just took some time for the illusion to wear off. This happens because desire is not the same as connection. You can be deeply attracted to someone you don't really know. You can crave their body without understanding their heart. And that early spark can trick you into thinking you're building something meaningful, when really you're only living in the outer layer of attraction with nothing deeper to support it over time. What really keeps a relationship alive isn't just how powerful the chemistry is at the start. It's how the emotional bond grows as time goes on. It's how safe both people feel to be fully themselves. It's about communication, about trust, about emotional generosity when life gets hard. And when that kind of emotional closeness exists, the sexual connection doesn't fade. It transforms. It becomes more fun, more emotionally connected. The desire turns into something you share instead of something you chase. It becomes about being close to someone who truly sees you, not just your body, but your whole being. So if you're in a relationship that began with passion but now feels cold, don't just ask, what happened to the sex? Ask, was there ever a true connection underneath it? Because without emotional closeness, sexual attraction is just like a match. Hot, bright, and gone quickly. But when you have connection, that flame can burn gently for years. This leads us to something that's truly heartbreaking and far more common than it should be. Too many women have been taught, directly or indirectly, that their worth comes mostly from their appearance or their sexuality. Not from their mind, not from their compassion, not from their humor or creativity, but from their looks and their ability to attract desire. And once that belief takes hold, it changes everything. It doesn't matter how brilliant or successful a woman is. If deep down she thinks her main value is her body, she starts to try harder to prove her worth through being desirable. This doesn't usually happen consciously. It shows up in small, quiet ways, like always making sure she looks flawless before seeing him, or pushing herself sexually even when she doesn't feel like it, just to keep his interest. She starts reading his level of attraction like a daily report. If he's affectionate, she relaxes. If he pulls back, she panics. She starts wondering, what did I do? Am I still sexy? Did I let myself go? And then she starts performing more, sending sexier texts, trying to keep things exciting, because deep down she believes if the desire fades, her value disappears too. But when this happens, she's no longer truly present. She's not asking herself, do I feel respected? Do I enjoy being around him? She's just focusing on keeping his attention, even if it means ignoring her own needs. And that's dangerous, because it feeds the idea that her value depends on staying sexy all the time. That if she gains weight, gets older, or has a tough day, she's less lovable. The fear builds, fear of being left, fear of not being enough, fear of being replaced. So she clings harder, but the more she tries to earn his desire, the more lost and empty she begins to feel, because no amount of sexual attention can replace a strong sense of self-worth. But here's the good news. When a woman shows up fully, not just as a body, but as a whole person, her value is unmistakable. When she knows her mind, her heart, her presence, her voice, her choices, and yes, her beauty, together make her worthy, everything changes. What makes her strong is that she stops chasing approval and starts drawing in real connection. The right man doesn't just want her body, he wants her soul. And he can only bond with that soul when she lets go of the idea that she must earn love by constantly doing something. So if you've been trying too hard, always adjusting yourself to keep a man interested, just pause. You don't have to perform to be worthy. You already are. Begin to connect from that truth, and you'll attract someone who sees every part of you, not just the ones you feel pushed to highlight. Let's talk about something that may surprise you, especially if you've grown up believing that men only care about one thing. Despite what society shows us and what we often assume from their actions, many men are quietly craving something they don't always know how to ask for. And that something is deep connection, not just sex, not just attention, but that sense of truly being seen, accepted, and emotionally. The challenge is that a lot of men haven't learned how to express this need. They weren't raised with the language of openness. They were taught to be tough, quiet, and always in control. So even when they want emotional closeness, they often go for the only kind of connection they've been taught is okay, physical touch. This is why many men initiate sex during times when, underneath, they're actually feeling nervous, unsure, or distant. It's not always about sexual desire in the usual way. Sometimes it's a silent plea. Do you still care about me? Do I still matter to you? Will you let me in right now? But instead of saying that, they reach out physically. Not because they're cold inside, but because physical closeness is the only way they know to connect without feeling weak. This pattern creates a cycle where emotional needs remain unmet. He wants to feel loved and close. She might be seeking gentle connection or a heartfelt conversation, but instead, he reaches for sex. And if she doesn't respond, he may feel rejected, not just from the moment, but as a person. That's when the gap starts to grow, and what both people probably want most is to feel safe with each other again. But when a man does feel emotionally safe, when he senses he can open up, be vulnerable, be himself, that shield he wears begins to fall away. He becomes more present, more giving, more in tune. He starts talking more, feeling more, even listening better. Because now he's not just surviving in the relationship, he's living it. And that space where two people stop trying to impress and simply become real, that's where true intimacy lives. So if you've ever questioned why a man backs off after being close or avoids deeper talks, it doesn't always mean he's uncaring. It might mean he cares a lot, and that depth scares him. He doesn't want to get hurt. He's been raised to be tough, not tender. But deep down, he's longing for more. And when he meets someone who allows him to be both strong and soft, that's when real connection begins. It's important to know it's not your job to fix him or figure out every signal. But if you can offer a kind of emotional safety without giving up your own, you create the kind of closeness many men secretly dream of, even if they've never known how to say it. There's a strong idea going around in today's dating world, the belief that male desire is only about the physical, that men are visual and stay interested only when there's constant excitement or seduction. But here's what people miss. While attraction may start with what he sees, what truly keeps his interest is what he feels. The emotional connection underneath the chemistry is what keeps a man fully engaged, not just in your body, but in your being. Men have emotional hunger too. Often it runs deeper because they haven't been allowed the freedom to express it. But when a man connects with a woman who looks beyond the outside, who touches something deeper in him, not just with her charm, but with her presence, something in him wakes up. His desire gets richer. It grows. It transforms from a search for thrills into something lasting. He's no longer chasing a high. He's seeking connection. At the core, masculine energy has direction. It wants to move towards something with purpose. It needs grounding. So when a man finds himself in a space where depth is missing, where the bond stays shallow, where emotions are unclear or guarded, his energy begins to fade. Sure, he might stay for a bit. He might enjoy the fun, the closeness, the physical attention, but without real emotional connection, the relationship floats until it disappears. But when there is shared emotional honesty, when he feels safe and mentally connected, something shifts in his attraction. It becomes steady. It doesn't go up and down based on how things look or feel on the surface. It roots itself in admiration, respect, and the feeling of, I see you and I want to keep discovering you. In that space, desire becomes more than passion. It becomes devotion. This is what many overlook. They spend so much energy trying to stay physically attractive. And yes, that has its place. But they miss how attractive it is to be emotionally open, to speak your truth, to let him do the same, to share yourself without editing for approval, to be you fully, clearly, and boldly. That emotional truth is where desire settles. Because when a man feels you trust him enough to be your full self, that's when he feels. And when a man feels chosen, not needed, not merely accepted, but truly chosen, that's when he begins to show up in ways he may have never seen before. So if you want to create something powerful with a man, yes, pull him in with your light, your playfulness. your feminine presence, but keep him close by allowing him to meet all of you. The part of you that not only shines, but also brings calm, brings truth, brings something real. That's what masculine energy can't turn away from. And that's what builds a connection that truly lasts. Before we finish, I want to leave you with this thought. Understanding male desire is not about tricks or trying to control anything. It's about seeing what really drives attraction. It's about knowing that desire isn't just about looks or actions. It's about how two people emotionally meet. It's about respect, connection, and the kind of space where both can show up without masks. When you come into a relationship with this kind of emotional wisdom, everything changes. You stop chasing approval, you stop stressing about being enough, and instead you settle into who you really are, the full, unique, beautifully imperfect version of you. And that's exactly who men are drawn to, because that's the version that offers truth, connection, and real closeness. So the next time you're wondering if you're doing enough, or if he's still interested, remember this. It's not about being flawless. It's about being sincere, being emotionally present, giving him the space to show up fully too. That's the kind of connection that creates lasting desire. That's the kind of love that doesn't fade. If you found these words helpful, consider taking a step today. Start viewing your connections differently. Ask yourself, am I focusing on what truly matters? Am I bringing my full self into the relationship? And if you want more insights like this, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because there's so much more to explore about love, desire, and building deep emotional bonds that truly last. Thank you for being here.